Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Law Dialogue. The day 11 of the Sabrimala reference saw submissions from senior advocate Darius Khambata appearing for a Parsi Zoroastrian woman, and through her story he asked the court to re-examine how we understand religious freedom, especially for Parsi women who marry outside their faith. He grounded his submission in the Gulrukh Gupta litigation from Gujarat. Now Gulrukh was a Parsi Zoroastrian who married a Hindu man in 1991 under the Special Marriage Act. She never renounced Zoroastrianism. Despite that, the local Parsi bodies treated her as if she had left the faith. She was told she could not enter fire temples and could not perform her parents' funeral ceremonies at the Tower of Silence simply because she had married outside the community. When she approached the Gujarat High Court, it held that a Parsi woman who marries a non-Parsi under the Special Marriage Act is deemed to have ceased being a Parsi and is presumed to have acquired her husband's religion. Senior advocate Mr. Khambata warned the Sabrimala bench that this deemed conversion logic has far-reaching consequences. It severs religious identity from personal belief and practice. It tells women that once they marry outside, their conscience and their actual faith become constitutionally irrelevant. That undermines Article 14, 15, 21 and the guarantee of freedom of conscience under Article 25. To show why this is such a regressive move, he invoked what is called the doctrine of coverture. Now, under English common law, coverture meant that a married woman became a femme covert, literally a covered woman whose legal existence was merged into that of her husband. As a femme covert, she could not own property, contract, or sue, or be sued in her own name. In law, husband and wife was said to be one person, and that person was the husband. Mr. Khambata's point was simple. If we say that when a woman marries a man of a different religion, her own religion is automatically presumed to merge into his, we are importing this femme covert logic into our constitutional order. We are treating her as if she has no independent religious identity at all, and that is impossible to reconcile with modern commitments to equality. Next, he turned to the internal structure of Articles 25 and 26. Article 25 protects the freedom of conscience and the right of every person to profess, practice, and propagate religion, whereas Article 26 protects the right of religious denominations to manage their own affairs in matters of religion. He submitted that Article 26b, that is the collective right of individuals forming a religious denomination to manage their religious affairs, cannot be given such a maximal effect that it overrides the personal faith of those very individuals protected under Article 25(1). He argued that since Article 26 flows from the rights of individuals under 25, it cannot be stretched beyond its own source to justify exclusionary practices. Thank you for watching through. Stay tuned for more updates.